Hi, I'm Tara, and welcome to Les Do Books. Email me at tara@thelesbianreview.com with any questions or comments, or come join our Facebook group, The Lesbian Review Book Club. I'm so excited because today I'm joined by Ullrich, who's written a bunch of awesome books that are all available through Bold Strokes Books. The latest is Against All Odds, which she co-authored with Chris Bryant and Maggie Cummings, who are awesome too, and that book is available everywhere. So welcome, Meghan.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
So, you are here to talk about some of the books that you love.
Yes, I am.
So, can you tell us, is there any kind of a theme or anything to what you chose today?
Actually, it's funny because I didn't think there was much of a theme in my Lesfic library until I started putting this list together, and then I was like, oh my god, I like things. I like certain things, apparently, but I wouldn't say there was a theme to there. I wasn't like, I didn't like mastermind this list to fit a theme. But when I go through, there are some things that kind of like overlap, and you'll see common tropes that are like, oh, okay, so yeah, I really dig that, like a lot.
All right. So what is the first book that you want to talk about?
This was tough because I know you and I share a favorite book, and I don't know if I wanted to lead with it or if I wanted to close with it. I think leading with it would probably be the best, because we could probably go on about it for a little too long. But that is All That Matters by Susan X. Meagher, I think it's pronounced. I mess it up every time. But that is my number one. My absolute top. It's like a favorite TV show. You know, you go back and watch favorite episodes. That book, I'll just pick it up, read my favorite scenes, and just, it'll be like, it is my go-to. It is my ultimate top, for sure.
I do the very same thing. It's in my top 5 for sure, and it's just so good.
So good. And there's certain scenes that I just can't, they pop up in my head, and I'm like, I need to read this book. Like, I need to go back to it. Every time I pick these little scenes, and it turns into me really reading the entire book again. Mm-hmm. I've read it so many times at this point, just because of that. It's like you pull a thread and you just unravel the entire sweater eventually.
So, for the handful of people who haven't read it, can you tell, I know, what are they doing? I don't know what they're doing. Can you tell them a little bit of what this book is about?
Okay, so this book is about Dr. Kylie Mackenzie and Blair Spencer. Blair Spencer starts out, she is married to a gentleman named David, and they're trying to have a baby, and they're having a little bit of a difficult time, and they go to visit a doctor in a practice. Kylie is not Blair's doctor, but they meet just because Kylie happens to walk into the office and be so dang charming, and they spark a friendship. And they're really close, they're really good friends, but Blair's marriage goes a little off the rails, and Kylie is just there to help her through it, to be super supportive. And in turn, Blair becomes this super supportive friend to Kylie too, who has just been single forever, and she wants to help her out, find somebody. And their friendship just starts to develop into more, and there's just so many layers to it, because Blair does get pregnant, and she does split from her husband, and you have all these different layers to the story, and it's just, it to me is just like a masterpiece. And normally I wouldn't be the one to pick up a book right away that's like 2 inches thick almost. It's a long book, and also pregnancy isn't really like my go-to. But I read the synopsis, and I was like, I think I'm going to give this a try. I like the whole, like, toaster oven trope, so to speak, of, like, the straight girl meeting the way open and out gay girl. And I was like, I'm just going to give it a try, and knocked my socks off. Way off. Opened up the floodgates for Susan X. Meagher, too, like, because that's inevitable. After you read this book, you're like, okay, give me the rest.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I especially love about this book is it's one of those rare friends to lovers romances where you get to actually watch the whole friendship develop too.
Yes.
And so there isn't necessarily any kind of a romantic connection when they first meet. That's not there. The romance builds out of this rich friendship that we got to see grow, and it's so wonderful. The only other book I can think of that I've seen do that is Jericho.
I have not read that.
I mean, if you like watching a friendship develop, then that's another good one to go to. But otherwise, it's usually like, oh, these people have been friends for, a billion years or whatever. And now what is going to happen to their friendship if they acknowledge their romance? Where there's some of that here, but not as much. I don't know. It's just so good. So what do you think makes you love it so much? Like, what puts this in your, at the very top of your list?
Oh, I don't want to be the person that's like everything. But I think the character development for Blair in and of itself is very interesting and entertaining to read. Kylie is just swoon-worthy. I just think she has such an incredible personality to her. Like, my goodness. And just from, the description, she wears a pencil skirt really well. So, I mean, that kind of does me in a little bit, too. But besides that, I think, Blair is just this really strong, independent woman, and you just watch these walls break down when it comes to her feelings for Kylie, and that's my top reason right there. I love that. And the whole friends to lovers thing, like you said, who doesn't love that? That's phenomenal too. But I just really like Blair's journey through the entire thing a lot.
Yeah. So who would you especially recommend this book to?
Anyone who likes a long read, something that they can really get into for a period of time, and anybody who likes to feel like they really went on a journey with two women, because you really do, from start to finish. And anybody who loves witty dialogue, because some of the conversations between Blair and Kylie are just so great. Laugh out loud. Just great. There's the one scene where Kylie is talking about her date with Amanda, and Blair's trying to pull all the details out of her, and she describes Amanda as beige. And I think that is probably one of the best things, and I actually use it in my everyday life now. When I'm trying to describe somebody who's just kind of okay, there, but a little blah, I'm like, she's beige. And it's actually become a go-to. It's the dialogue is very witty and clever.
Yeah. So you said, I'm going to start this sentence 8 times apparently.
That's fine. 9 is usually my lucky number, but 8's good too.
Yes. So this is your go-to Susan X. Meagher story. But for somebody who's read that, and she has this enormous back catalog.
Yeah.
And if they don't know where to turn next, what would you actually suggest they read next?
Man.
I know.
Oh, and titles just escape me so often. There is one I would recommend. I'm trying to think of the title of it. Where this woman, she lives sort of in a small town, I think it is. And she doesn't have any money. She's really just kind of a woman of nature, of the woods or whatever. She's missing a front tooth. That's one of the things that I'll never forget.
It's the one with the Appalachian Hill people, right?
She wins the lottery.
Yeah, Almost Heaven.
Yeah. So she wins the lottery, and then the woman that she goes to at the bank is just this woman doesn't know what she's doing. And it just the way that their relationship starts up, and total opposites attract. You cannot get any more opposites attract than that book. That's the first one that comes to mind, for sure.
It's a really good one.
It was very surprising, how good it was. I know to expect quality at this point, but I was just really surprised at how good it was. And then I also started the San Francisco series, I think it is, but I only got so far into that, because that's a commitment. I only got so many into that one, but from the beginning it was good.
I haven't read that yet. It's so many books that it's just daunting.
It is. It totally is. And I started it, but I fell off a little bit because it's great, but you want something fresh every once in a while. So you kind of look for something new. And I mean, one day I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to pick up the next 11 and I'm going to get back into it. But it is daunting. It's good, but it's daunting, for sure.
Well, has like what? Like 20 books at this point?
At this point, she's almost done with the alphabet. So, yeah. Yeah. I think she's into V, U, V, something like that. As a writer, I can't even imagine.
No.
Like, to keep it fresh and to keep it going, blows my mind.
No. Okay. So, what's your next book?
Speaking of series, the Winter Jacket series by Eliza Lentzski. Second top favorite, I'm going to say. Easily. The entire series, all of it. I'm almost speechless about it because I wish it would just keep going on, but unfortunately it is not going on, and it's really sad. But it has the teacher-student dynamic, but done very tastefully. And it's about Elle Graft and Hunter Dyson. Hunter Dyson, which is definitely one of my favorite names I've ever read in a book. It's just so good. Elle Graft is a professor. Hunter Dyson is her student who just kind of flies under the radar, but just catches Elle's attention by being so to herself. And it's a witty book, witty series. The supporting characters, like Elle's best friend Troyan, so funny. And the development of their relationship it's so surprising along the way, and it is definitely a roller coaster, for sure. So and I can't pick just one of the books out of the series. It's got to go as a lump sum because you gotta. And it's all told from Elle's point of view, and it's first person, which normally first person isn't my go-to. I prefer third person point of view, but I couldn't imagine this working any other way. And then for the author to come out with the book at the end of Hunter's point of view, telling the story from the beginning, the first book, but from Hunter's point of view, that was definitely awesome because it answered so many questions that you have as a reader of like why Hunter did some of the things that she did in the first book. So it was cool.
How many books are in this series?
Oh gosh, I should so know the answer to that, but to me it's just one book. I think 5. I think 4 main Winter Jackets told from Elle's point of view, and then the Hunter book that tells the first book over again.
That's not bad.
It's cool because it all starts with. Have you read it by any chance?
I haven't read it.
Oh, okay. It all really starts with Hunter is in Elle's class. And she's wearing a winter jacket. The heater's broken. Everybody's sweating. Everybody's like stripped down to like tank tops. But there is little Hunter, like not little, but like Hunter sitting there with her big winter jacket on, not taking it off. And they don't actually address why she does that, possibly until the final book told from Hunter's point of view. And I remember finishing the first book and being like, but why was she wearing the winter? Why was she still wearing it? I don't understand. And this isn't spoiling anything, but it turns out that she just doesn't want to be seen. She doesn't want to take up too much space. She doesn't want to draw too much attention. So rather than taking the jacket off, she would just rather be uncomfortable and just be to herself. But that's interesting to me because you see so much of her confidence throughout like the actual series itself. To learn her story in the end, it's so interesting. And non-repetitive, which was a worry for me. I was like, can I really read the first book again from a different point of view without it seeming... No, I was just as excited to get to certain scenes. Like, yeah, tell me why Hunter did this. Like, there's some sexy stuff that goes down, and you're just like, I want to know what was going through Hunter's head for this. It's good. I recommend it highly.
All right. You have me intrigued. I think I'm going to have to check this one out.
It's good. It is good. It ropes you in. And it's completed, so you don't have to worry about, like, sitting and waiting for, like, the next book.
I know that author is a huge, huge favorite of Anna, one of the other reviewers of the Lesbian Review.
Oh,
so
I love her stuff. She was another one. It was a lot like Susan. I read Winter Jacket and I was like, I need to explore this author big time. And at the time she didn't have that much, but I have read a good amount of her work. Another one is Final Rose. That was a good one. Did you read that one?
No, but I need to, and I've been meaning to.
Oh my God.
I bought it. I just never got around to it. But I mean, just the concept of it, like...
Exactly.
Reality show romances I didn't know they were my jam until I found one and was like, where are all the other where are all the other books like this at? Because I want to read all of them.
I didn't know it was my jam either, but I was like, well, the author right there got me. And then I was like, all right, this is great. Who wouldn't love to read about, like, The Bachelor gone gay? Like, who wouldn't want to read that? I consumed that book so quickly because it's a very slow burn. Big time. Okay. So I wanted, and it just keeps you going. Like, I consumed it probably within like a day and a half. And that's with working. So it was definitely like I fit it into all of my downtime because I needed to get to the end. That was really good.
Okay. You have me convinced.
Yes.
So, what's the next book on your list?
The next, I'm going to dip my toe into the erotica pool for a moment. Because I'm going to say a very early Lesfic for me was 13 Hours by Meghan O'Brien. And this isn't just because her name is Meghan. That's not why I'm putting her on this list. It is because this book is freaking phenomenal. And I remember reading it the first time and just being like, hoogadoggy. Because like I said, it was really early for me. It was really like I started reading Lesfic because of collections of just erotic shorts. That's like how I even got into this. So then to find like all like these romances and stuff. But 13 Hours by Meghan O'Brien, you put a straight-laced woman like Dana Watts into an elevator with a really sexy stripper like Laurel, and you cut the power for 13 hours. Yeah, I am on board. Because it checks the box of like fighters to lovers, like hate to love, because they start butting heads so bad, and it's very entertaining to read. And then you get to, in just this short amount of time, watch these women completely change. Laurel from this stripper, and Dana from this, like, buttoned up, like, kind of, like, really sad person to really opening up. And you learn so much about Laurel, and I like that it touches on how people are judged so harshly based off of whether it is an occupation or anything, their appearance, anything, how harshly you judge somebody and how wrong you are. You see Dana's reaction when she's like ripping into Laurel for being a stripper. And then when she finds out her story, she's like, okay, yeah, I am a total asshole. Wow, I feel terrible. I need to reevaluate how I treat people, kind of. And that's just great. And then it just gets really, really sexy. And it pretty much stays sexy from like, I'm going to say like a third or so in until the very last page. You're just like, all right, whew, fan myself a little bit. But there's that in my erotica library that I just love. You've read it, I'm assuming, because your eyes are lighting up. Like you, definitely have. And I've read quite a few.
I think I've read everything by her.
Yeah, I read quite a few by her.
And that's a really fun one. I think my favorite is The Night Off, but it's also not for everyone because that one is pretty heavy into kink. So people who don't like kink are probably not going to like The Night Off.
Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. I say yeah, because you never know. Like with me, I can't say that kink is what draws me into a book, but it wouldn't turn me away from a book.
It's so good.
I believe you.
So good.
I read Wild by her as well. And that one surprised me because that is not, like I said, I'm not really like a sci-fi type of person, sci-fi fantasy at all. So like the whole like werewolf type of storyline, really not my cup of tea. But I picked it up because I loved 13 Hours so much. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go outside the box. I'm going to try this. And I love that one too. Knocked my socks off.
I keep hoping she's going to write another one because that needs to be a series and not a standalone. I think my other favorite one of hers is Camp Rewind.
Oh,
I don't know if you read. Did you read that one?
I did.
Yeah.
I loved that one. I identified with that one on so many levels. And then you also, you emotionally, you get so involved. I identified with it, but then also it was really sexy too. I mean, I have a lot to say about certain scenes of that book that just I really enjoy, but that's for a whole other probably borderline X-rated podcast. Not this one so much, but there's a lot of very good things in that one. But I think that's really what drew me in, was how I identified with the character and the whole like trying to deal with your anxiety and pushing yourself so much and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And that was great.
Well, and it also felt so timely with the Gamergate experience of the other character, which I thought was just brilliantly handled.
There was a lot of layers to that one, and they were just all piled so perfectly on top of great sex. She is good at what she does. She's very good at what she does.
I'm very excited about that new one that's coming out soon.
Which one?
It's called The Sex Therapist Next Door, I think.
I mean, how could you not be excited about that one? I mean, really.
It has a cover that is about as subtle as the covers to 13 Hours Off.
So it's visually stimulating as well.
It is. You may not want to take it with you on the bus.
That's why we are graced with e-readers. Because then you don't have to worry about the covers as much. It's a blessing. But keeping on the topic of like erotica, I'm definitely going to have to mention the short Shameless by Brit Ryder.
So good.
Because the only problem I had with that one was that it was short. Like, I wanted so much. I was very satisfied at the end, but I wanted so much more. Like, there's just so much potential there for the entire, all of it. But it's actually, I'm going to tell you a story about this. I read it, and this is the first story. I read it at work. Not the smartest idea.
No,
not at all. But I was reading it at work, and I'm sitting there. I'm trying to make like I'm working, but I'm holding my phone, whatever. I'm having like a moment of downtime, and I got to the twist, and I actually dropped my phone, like right out of my hand, like down onto the floor. I was like, everybody's like looking at me like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, what erotic short has a plot twist like that?
I know.
Like, dropped my phone right there. So any story that gets me to drop my phone, that goes on a list, in my opinion.
I asked if we could possibly get more with those characters and was politely told no, unfortunately.
Well, a little birdie did tell me that Brit has something up her sleeve, and that we may see Emery again in the future. But I cannot confirm or deny this birdie's honesty. But I think we're going to see something in the future.
God, I hope so. Do you want to tell people what it's about?
Oh, yeah. That's probably a good thing to do. So we have Emery, who is a fire inspector, I believe. And it is just, she's meeting up with a woman just for a little rendezvous in an art gallery, which right there is sexy enough for my liking. And they meet up. She walks in, she sees this woman, instant connection. She's like, this is a very smart decision I'm making. For my day, I'm going to have a great day, basically. She walks up to this woman, and they have really great sex in this art gallery. And that right there is a selling point. Pretty much not all over the art gallery, but definitely in the nooks and crannies of this art gallery. And I'm not going to give away any plot twists or anything like that. I'm just going to say you have to read it for yourself so that you can, but just have a really good case on your phone if you're going to read on your phone, because you might drop it. And it's such a sexy short, and you just want more at the end, but you do feel incredibly satisfied by it.
Yeah. It does end. It ends well and appropriately. I'm just greedy.
Oh, I'm totally greedy. Absolutely. But gotta respect it for what it is, I guess.
Or whine a little bit about wanting more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst feeling to be left wanting more, but I just friggin' want more. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, those are my erotica picks for my list, because you gotta throw some of that on there. But my next one, we're going back into a little bit of sweetness, is actually Thy Neighbor's Wife by Georgia Beers. It was... this is where like some of my common themes come in, because again, it's like a toaster oven romance, and it is about Jennifer Wainwright, who is a housewife to a very rich family. Her family is rich. Her husband's family is rich. I should mention she has a husband. She is married. Rich families. And they buy a lake house, which right there is a winner for me, because my dream is to live in a nice little house on a lake. Ugh. So the scenery in and of itself sold the book for me. And she meets her neighbor, her next door neighbor, thanks to a very lovable little pup named Kinsey, who is just the cutest thing on paper. And her neighbor's name is Alex Foster. And Alex is trying to write a novel, and there is something about a writer writing about a writer that I just enjoy, because it's like, how do we see ourselves? Like, how do we imagine our fictional selves? And it's very interesting. Mm-hmm. And they strike up a friendship because Jennifer's, hubby is a lawyer, and he's always off working, and he just kind of leaves her at the lake house for this entire summer. So she befriends Alex, all of Alex's friends, and it's a friends to lovers romance. So again, let's touch on that one more time, because I love it. And I also love any scene of the gay character dealing with like, oh, okay, so now she's gonna find out I'm gay, what's that gonna be like, and how it comes about. I just love reading that in any book. And this was just great, because Jennifer just kind of calls her and she's like, you are gay, right? Like, this, right? Have you ever read it by any chance?
No, it's one of the few.
It's so good.
There's a handful of hers that I haven't read, and that's one of them. Yeah.
It's so good. It's pretty early on, I think, in her career, I think. But it's clever. And the way that Jennifer just handles it, because she just kind of puts everything together. Like, Alex has all these girlfriends who are couples, and she's just like, okay, so yeah, so Alex is gay. And then Alex never really mentions it. And she's like, you're gay, right? Like, we're gonna, like, this is gonna be, like, out now. Can we just get over this?
That's so cute.
Yeah, I love it. And Alex has a really interesting... Every character almost in the book has some bit of intrigue to them. Even the husband, which, you're not supposed to really like the husband because you want the chick to end up with the chick. But even him, he has like his own thing that he's going through. Jennifer has this deep connection with her father, who had passed away a little bit earlier. I think he's gone for like a year or so when the book starts. And she still has such a deep connection with him. That's really endearing to read. And just the way that their relationship develops, their chemistry is off the charts. You just want every little scene that they're together. You're like, touch each other again, hug each other. Like, you just are like, you want to like eat it up. You're just ready for every little interaction. And it was actually a pleasure, because for this I tried to like skim and reread a lot of these so that they were fresh in my mind. And I read this one from page 1 to the back cover because I just wanted to be in it again. So. Another recommendation for you. And again, Georgia Beers, you really can't go wrong. But, that book. And there's a dog. There's a great little jet skiing scene. It's great. It's really great. And the marriage is handled really well, too. It's not like, I don't know, I feel like you never really know what to expect when one of the characters is married. Mm-hmm. So it's all just, it's great from start to finish.
Is it... I'm trying to think of how to ask this kind of delicately, because I know there are a lot of Lesfic readers who are 100% anti-cheating. Is this a book that they can read?
In my opinion, yes.
Cool.
because I feel like I said, the marriage is handled very well, and you see so much of how Jennifer and her husband Eric, what's going on behind closed doors almost with them. So you see a lot, and I feel like once you get to the cheering section, we'll just call it the cheering section of the book, where you're like, yes, that is almost resolved for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I think
All right.
I think if you are very sensitive to it, you may have a little bit of a hard time, but if you're just mildly sensitive to it, I don't think you'll have a problem with this one.
All right, perfect. So, you have one book left on your list.
I do. And this is the little bit of like I'm not going to say outside the box, but it is Fannie Flagg, Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. Because it is a lesbian romance at heart, but there is so much going on. Like, I don't even think I could give a rundown for anybody who, if you haven't read this book or seen the movie, which the movie should be remade to be as hella gay as the book is, but that's one person's opinion here. It's hard for me to even give a summary of it, because there's so much going on in this book. It's told in present-day 80s, and then you flash back to the 20s and the 30s. You are with the hobos who are by the train station, by the cafe and whistle stop. You're all over the place, but you never get lost. And I think that in and of itself speaks of the talent that went into this book. Have you read the book?
I have not.
Okay. It is really funny. There are, like, the newsletters, the weekly newsletters that go out. You get those. Like, every couple chapters. Actually, the book isn't even really broken down into chapters. It's just, like, it's just, the structure is very different. And you get these newsletters, and you feel like you're part of this community, this really neat, really small community. And you follow Ruth and Iggy through their relationship, but also their family relationships, because that is, like, all over the place too. And you just see, like, how so many things were handled back then, between, like, race, and how this family handled having a young girl like Iggy, who she just one day declared she's never wearing, I think she was like 6 at the time, 6 or 8. She, like, stood up and was like, I'm never wearing a dress again. And, like, storms off and is dresses just like her brother from that day on. And her mom is just like, all right, she goes to, I think, like a tailor or whatever the next day. And she's like, all right, so-and-so's wedding's coming up. We need a suit for Iggy. Like, there's no batting an eye. There's no questioning it. There's no forcing. And it's just, they know. Ruth at one point goes off to get married, and Iggy doesn't handle it well. The family knows. Like, the family's just like, give her some time. The only person who could talk to her right now is Ruth. And it's really heartwarming to see how the family just embraces their relationship. But it's you know, you go back and forth between, like, the past, the present, so to speak, that's the 80s, and you're hearing it being told to a complete stranger from, I think it's Iggy's sister-in-law, who's in, like, a nursing home at this point. She's telling the story to a complete stranger just because, I mean, I think we've all been in the position where we're sort of trapped a little with an elderly person who is telling their life story. And you hear, like, all this crazy stuff that they've been through, and that's how the book starts out. This one is just like, well, and she just unloads to this stranger who then shows up every week to sit with her and learn more about her past and what they did. And there's a lot of food in the book, and it all sounds delicious. And you'll walk away wanting either Southern food or a Milky Way bar. It's just inevitable.
Okay. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was scanning it the other night, and I was laughing out loud to the point of tears when I was getting to the Weems Weekly, like, newsletter, because it's so funny. It's so funny. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm basically, like, rolling, laughing, just reading about, like, these people. And you really do. You laugh a lot. You feel for these people so much. And there's like that little bit of you. It's like, yeah, I know it's like the 20s and the 30s, but like it'd be cool if I lived there for like a day. Just to like hang out.
Yeah.
You kind of want to be transported back to it, but only for a day. I wouldn't survive more. For sure.
No. No. Oh my God. I would have died in childbirth.
But yeah, I would just want to go for a day. I'd want to eat at the Whistle Stop Cafe, stuff myself until I can't breathe, and then I'm good to come back to current day.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good plan.
If only time travel were a real thing, and if only fictional worlds were real too, we'd be set.
Yeah. Like a day, but like a day though. I wouldn't want to get stuck.
One day to eat everything that I can on the menu and then come back.
Mm-hmm. What if you just went on a trip to the south? I bet you could get some more food anyway.
Whoa. Let's not make this easy, okay?
All right, fair enough.
Actually, it's funny. I have a cookbook. From Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. I have the cookbook. I have yet to have anything out of it.
Well, I mean, we're recording this on a weekend, so I think, like, it's the weekend. You should make something.
Nothing screams Sunday dinner quite like some good, like, down-home Southern cooking, right?
I think so. I don't know. I'm Canadian, so maybe? That sounds legit.
It sounds legit, right? Yeah.
Sounds legit.
Just agree. It's fine.
So, is there anything else that you want to share about your journey as a reader?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more time for it. My journey as a reader sort of headbutts a little bit with my journey as a writer, and I don't have as much time now to just sit and read, and I miss that. So I kind of miss the Meghan that was on the reader journey a little bit. But I'd say this journey will happily never end, though. It may hit some pauses, but there is just always so much good stuff coming out. And it's just getting better and better. Like, I see some of these new authors that are coming on, and I wish I could just hole up for like a full like week and get a nice little lake house maybe. Let's go back to that. Mm-hmm. And just sit with a stack of books.
Some southern food,
a nice pot of coffee that just replenishes itself without even having to like do anything, and just read these books, because there's some really great stuff coming out. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of my journey, that's for sure.
I think that is all for this episode. Where can people find you online if they want to connect with you?
Everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I am definitely on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter quite a bit now, too. So that's always fun. Even though it's character limited, it's still a lot of fun. But I would say Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find me. I'm there.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. This was a lot of fun.
So, I'm Tara, and you've been listening to Les Do Books. Remember to email me at tara@thelesbianreview.com with your questions or comments, and if you're an author who's interested in joining me on the show to talk about the Lesfic you love or trends that have you interested, please let me know. If you've enjoyed this episode, please check the show notes and you'll find a Patreon link for the Lesbian Talk Show. Our patrons get exclusive content like bonus podcasts that no one else gets access to, including author interviews, stories, all kinds of awesome stuff. You can also join our Facebook group, the Lesbian Review Book Club, to talk about all of these books and anything else you're reading and loving. To find this and many other great shows, all you need to do is search for the Lesbian Talk Show on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher.